Kendra Ruczak. I'm here at View Conference 2023 with Mike Lasker, Visual Effects Supervisor from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Thank you so much for being here today, Mike.
Great to be in Turin, the View Conference. It's amazing.
So great.
Yeah.
Really excited to talk to you about all the amazing visual effects in this film.
Well, I love talking about it.
Excellent. Well, there's so many visual layers. How did you even begin to approach the challenge of supervising all the effects that would be needed for this?
I mean, there's a lot. I think there's more in this movie than any movie I've ever seen. And I did the first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, and it kind of like rewired our brains to sort of getting used to like having to figure out how to do every form of filmmaking and rediscover it, right? And then after like Mitchell's versus the Machines, I rolled onto this movie. And you know, it's not like everything's thrown on you all at once. You kind of, you know the story, you know the script, but little by little, you find things out, but very quickly realize we have 6 universes to build. And we worked with the art department and the directors, and we figured out sort of what we'd have to develop and what the different looks would be. And we built tools in the end that we could actually use across all the universes, but just dialed differently.
Oh, wow.
So outlines in 2099 and outlines in India are using the same tools, but just we kind of dial them to look like different styles. But it was a lot of work. We used to joke that like a day on Spider-Verse is like a week. And you know, if you were out for a day, you'd be like, oh my God, what did I miss? It's insane. But we had like 1,000 artists. It was like running it's like driving a ship through the ocean on a journey. But yeah, you just have to be, we have very organized people, we have very talented people, and everyone's sort of in it together just to figuring out how to make this art. And it really unleashed everyone's artistry, and people got really into it.
That's
and
great.
that passion just drove it.
So that Across the Spider-Verse also refers to the pipeline that was running through the whole project.
Oh, big time. I mean,
That's
we developed brand new tools from the ground up. And we would have meetings like about the Vulture or about Spider Bite, where every part of the pipeline was involved. So we would need the riggers and the modelers and effects and CFX all talking about how we're going to make this character. But it sort of got everyone together on the same page. So I would just love having meetings where the whole pipeline was represented. You know, because you want to do things the best way for everybody. So, which usually there's someone who's not crazy about it, but you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So how did you keep that communication going with teams all over the world?
Well, so we're based in Vancouver. We have a core team in LA. We have a team in Montreal. But the communications is really smooth. We do stuff over Google Hangouts. Everyone syncs to my IpView session, which is our imagery tool that we view on, so people could see me moving the cursor around. And everyone's mics are open, so they can all speak when they want. I've got the artist's name as an overlay on every shot, so it was really easy for me to see who worked on it.
Oh, cool.
I'd always encourage people to speak up. And then I got to know all the teams because I would sit in rounds all day, and I would get like 7 lighting teams coming in and out, and effects and cloth. But you know, you get to know the supervisors well and the teams, and this is day in, day out, just constant communication. And that's what it comes down to, communicating, you know, just creating a nice environment for everyone. And I would always encourage the artists to bring their ideas. There's no bad idea. And if you have an idea that everyone really sings, it'll show up on the screen. And I've named looks after artists before. Like on the first film, we have a Pablo effect because Pablo Holzer came up with this amazing offset effect when Peter gets sucked into the ceiling in the first movie.
Yeah.
So we have things like that where you like name things after people.
Oh, I
So
love
it's really,
that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
That's
really
great.
Fun. Yeah.
Were there any universes that really stood out to you that needed, especially more planning, or any sequences that really stood out?
Well, definitely anything that was brushed was really the hardest thing. Gwen's world was technically and artistically the hardest world to create. Yeah. And it was because it was based on watercolor. Every shot had a different lighting look because it was all based on Gwen's mood. Yeah. So typically when you light shots in a typical CG movie, you can use a lighting rig, run out your whole sequence and then dial it per shot with a couple of lighting keys. But for a lot of these sequences, we would need almost a lighting key for every shot because shot to shot, it was completely different and you couldn't leverage off of optimizations. So you'd have to first block out the colors and the light, then go back and brush it like a painting. Oh, wow. So we came up with this process of passes that we would show the directors. Are you happy with our blocking? Okay, let's go back, add the line work, add the paint brushes. So I would say Gwen's World was really the catalyst for so much of what we created. But then obviously you have big chase sequences like Miles on the Train in 2099. Huge amount of planning. You're going from the underbelly of the world up this vertical highway to a space station, and you have so much to deal with, and you have to get the look of picture and the animation and the effects. So there's just an endless amount of things. The Vulture, like I mentioned, most complicated character we've ever made.
Oh, it looked amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And like Punk and how they're going to integrate into the lighting because they're not supposed to, but they still have to a little bit. So there were just, I mean, I could go on and on about challenges and exciting things for honestly days.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, since you've been in the industry for over 20 years now in live action and animation, what have you seen change since you got your start?
You know, I think what really excites me are these stylized animated films. Because for the longest time, I mean, I worked in live action doing photoreal effects, worked in animated films where we would, you know, you would have different character designs and different color and lighting, but you typically follow the same principles. You do eyes the same way, you do hair the same way, skin, clothing, simulations. What I loved about Into the Spider-Verse, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, and Across the Spider-Verse is it got us to just rethink and rebuild how we did everything, and it kind of unleashed this artistry in everyone's brain, and just no challenge is too big, and just to attack things and just figure out how to do things that you never thought you could. And I think that's really been the #1 thing, and it really invigorated me. Like you said, over 20 years, thanks for that. You know, it's like you get to that point where you just need to like get yourself fired up again. And I mean, once you went down that path in the first movie, it just sort of, it was like starting over.
Yeah.
Because you had to really, we were starting over. So it was kind of, that's really, I think, the best answer to that question.
That's so great. And where do you think things are headed? Like, especially with AI and all these new technologies coming into the pipeline?
Well, I'm excited about Unreal and real-time technology, game engines, kind of working their way into the pipeline.
Yeah.
You know, I think on the front end, especially going from previs into layout and allowing directors to kind of act like live action directors and shoot, you know, use a camera, walk around, kind of direct the blocking and set dressing and scouting. That I think is going to make a huge difference in the pipeline. So I think as far as technology, I'm really excited about that because it'll make it more like filmmaking should be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. So it'll make things easier instead of
Easier and allow directors to really be directors. They don't want to give notes and then come back a day or two later and see it. They can give notes on the fly and be creative, like you're out actually shooting a live action film.
That's so true. Oh. Do you have any advice that you wish you'd known when you first started out that you could pass on to people just getting started?
You know, I think I had a really hard time finding my first job. I think I sent out 75 demo reels and they were all rejected.
Oh.
You know, I got into the industry where I think it was the first influx of people, but you just have to be persistent and you have to follow what you love, because if you follow what you love, you're not going to let anybody stop you. And that's kind of what I did. I always knew what I wanted to do. And I just had this tunnel vision to my end goal. And you just got to let stuff wash over you. Don't take it personally. Just go all out to work, you know, set goals. Set, you know, if it's your dream or whatever it is, and just don't let anyone stop you.
That's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
And one last fun one. If you could be in any alternate universe in the Spider-Verse, what would you choose? Faster render times?
So which universe, like, would I...
Just make your own up.
Oh.
Maybe one optimized for visual effects or anything.
You know, I love the painterly worlds. I really loved where we landed with Gwen's world. You know, maybe an oil painted universe. Something like that. Some other form of fine art that we haven't really explored could be cool. Or some crazy technological Blade Runner sort of universe could be cool. Right?
I would love to see that too.
Yeah. So I think something like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love your magazine.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's so great to talk to you.
You too.
Love the film. It was beautiful. And yeah, really appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and make sure you check out the rest of our content from View Conference 2023.